we were called all sorts of names when we were saying that we believe this would be the best electoral results if the ANC were to win.
Mm.
But that was not the case. And when life gives you lemonades, when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. So you make the best of with what you've got. And at the time, we were not necessarily agreeing. Some of us as activists within the ANC, with the position to work with certain political parties, we believe that it was not practical because one believes you must go left, the other one believes you must go right, and now then are you going to build a country where you can't even fundamentally agree on a shared vision for the future of South Africa? So I mean, but I think when the decision was taken and a government was formed, um, yours is to rally behind the elected officials, because there's work that needs to be done. Unfortunately, it's not about you and your views. It's not about what you believed before. Because even if tomorrow, I mean, the DA for example, is in the Western Cape as premier, as mayors or whatever. It doesn't mean that the work must stop now because we don't agree with the DA fundamentally, as activists or as whatever. So once a government is formed and once officials are elected and once there's a government in place, we hold the view that South Africans should support the work of that government and should try by all means to make it work, because unfortunately things are running, things are moving, and it's all well and I still hold my views that I don't agree with certain people, don't agree with certain political parties or whatever, but at the end of the day, there's work that needs to be done that is above my views, and I can't be holding on to the fact that I don't like this person's ideas on how we should change the country. What's important is that what's in front of us now is what we've got, which is the GNU. The ANC still controls 9 out of 11 provinces in the country. It still controls some of the strategic portfolios in government. We still have the president, the DP, treasury. So the core functions of government are still with the ANC. And as an activist of the ANC, I'm happy with that particular outcome. And I'm happy that the ANC hasn't also necessarily given up on its fundamental values, such as transformation, such as inclusive growth. And those are the things that, as an activist, I look forward to seeing. The politics of around the GNU. I'm not going to sit here and try to justify the relationship between the ANC and the DA, or the ANC and the FF plus. Those are things that I'm not gonna dive into. But I think what gives us hope as activists is that the ANC is still running government, the ANC is still in charge, and the transformation agenda is still on the cards, and work is being done to change the lives of South Africans. And I think let's give it some time. Let's give it 3 5 years, see how it goes. But the early signs are that it's working. Yeah, I mean, we would have, some of us would have hoped for a minority government, like in Gauteng, for example, where you are elected without necessarily the support of other political parties. I mean, Banyaza was elected unopposed, for example. He was not voted in by the DA. He wasn't voted in by the MK. He wasn't voted in by the EFF. And he's running a minority government. So those are some of the models that we would have probably preferred.
And he's doing well.
And he's doing well, right? But the leadership has made up its mind, and ours is now to work and support the work of government, because really it's not about you and your.
Do you believe that aside, do you believe that if the DA and the ANC was like fully involved in this government, like fully committed in the government of national unity, and try, although it's not easy, try to put like aside political differences, because every here and then they're based pushing each other back and forth. They want to maybe try to prove to South Africans who's in charge, who's smarter than the other. Do you believe that if those kind of factors and aspects were put aside, there was by now so many achievements could have been done.
Yeah, and look, I don't agree with the DA. So like I don't, and I don't think I don't think you can measure my conviction as an ANC activist based on how much I love the DA, or try to measure how much I support the DA, and then come to a conclusion that I'm more or less of an ANC activist. So the problem with working with political parties like the Democratic Alliance is exactly that. I mean, for example, I think there's elements of racism within the DA. I mean, they suspended one of their members for old videos of, like, they admitted that they've got people within their ranks who are racist, and some of them they've expelled. So the problem with dealing with characters like that is that they try sometimes to undermine you because you're black, right? In ways that are not so overt. Some of us are not necessarily black consciousness scholars, but we've read a book or two and have encountered. So sometimes racism doesn't show itself openly by someone calling you whatever derogatory word, but sometimes it's in subtle ways where in the workplace, white people try to undermine your intelligence and all sorts of manner of things, right? So I think that's what, to answer your question, that is what was kind of playing out, where white people within the DA believed that they are inherently better at governance than the ANC, and they've they know how to do things in a better way. And even when this thing was formed, the first person to announce it was John Steenhuisen through a media briefing. And then Helen Zille was busy undermining, some of our leaders in the ANC. So that's just the nature of people who don't take you seriously as black people. Yeah, leave ANC, whatever. Like, some of these people, they just don't take you seriously. Yeah, well, so, and I'm not necessarily saying that the DA itself, everyone in the DA is like that. But I do think there are elements like that. And that's why they even had to expel some of their members, because there's racist undertones and racist attitudes that are there, which prevent some of the work. And I mean, there are some good people in the DA, like the Minister of Communications, the Minister of Education. Those are proper, solid, politicians who I believe do have a genuine interest of changing the lives of South Africans. I know, for example, even that Deputy Minister of Finance, the mayor of, some of them are decent people, and they're good and they're committed to what, but there's also not rogue, but there are some racist elements and racist people within the DA, which let the party down in terms of, in terms of some of the work that they do. So it's not to say that the DA is a racist completely, a lost cause, whatever. But there are some fundamental issues that they need to get right, which undermine the work of government at times. Because I mean, I've never seen a situation where the president calls for a signing ceremony and a minister decides not to come. So those are some of the attitudes that I believe are slowing us down, but it's not necessarily a lost cause. It's not necessarily a lost cause. So it's things that I think, even in a marriage, I've never been married, but they say that
you grew up in a family with.
They say that there are issues, you learn each other over time, and things get better, But so this marriage between the ANC and the DA, I don't agree with the DA politically and otherwise, fundamentally, but okay, it's what we've got. I just hope there will be some sense of political maturity from more their side, because I think from the side of the ANC and other they've been very mature. They've had to,
like Patrick Alliance, Gayton McKenzie is full into government definitional.
Yes, yeah. They've showed their utmost sense of political maturity in terms of having to put up with some of the things they've had to put up with. So, and you even see in Tswane how the DA is handling those negotiations. They are sometimes just too arrogant, those people. But I mean, Again, though these are all my personal views,
Mm.
and they must never be conflated for the views of the organizations that I work with and lead in sometimes. So, but yeah, that's that. Those are just my 2 cents.